Hello again, everyone. Today's video is going to be on elapsed time. Okay, now as you can see here, I have a calendar up. And the reason why I put this up first is because some of the questions regarding elapsed time are going to have to require you to look at a calendar to determine how much time has passed. So I picked this calendar. It's 2016. Now, the questions for elapsed time for the calendar will not be 2016. However, that's not the point because I'm not going into years. I'm just going into whatever is showing on the calendar or the questions, excuse me. So it'll be like months like that. Okay. This is just for your reference. So if you want to count how much time has passed, you can look at this calendar as a reference. Okay. Now I'm putting it at the beginning. So if you choose to take part in the bonus activity and want to answer the question, you can just go back to the beginning of this video and look at the calendar. Okay, so this is to help you answer the questions. I don't expect you to remember like which months have 30 days or 31 days or if it's a leap year like that. Okay, so this is just to help guide you through. All right, so having said that, we're going to talk about elapsed time, like I said. So some of the questions will be looking at a clock. Some of them will be talking about, days or like weeks or months like that. Okay, so I put this up here for the calendar to help guide you. All right. So having said that, before I continue on, this is kind of in a connection to an earlier video I did on telling time. Other than the clocks, there's really nothing really related to, well, it's an extension of that lesson really. So that one was just introducing how to tell time. This one's talking about elapsed time, meaning how much time has passed between the time shown, the start date and the end date. Okay, so having said that, let's go ahead and look at what I'm going to be giving you first as my demonstration, and then I'll show you the bonus activity. Let's take a look at the demonstration video now. So here's today's demonstration video. Like I said, it's on elapsed time. And the directions say calculate and write the elapsed time. So the reason why I referred to my previous video on telling time is because it had an analog clock and a digital clock there. So you can see that's part of this activity is you're going to have to read those type of clocks. And if you're wondering like, oh, well, he didn't tell us about analog clock. I did. If you just look back in my earlier videos, you can see that video on telling time. I'll put a link down in the details below as well, so you can go ahead and click right to that and then watch that video first. Okay? Now, having said that, we're literally going to just do what it says. We're just going to calculate and write the elapsed time. Okay? So we'll look at each problem and then determine how much time has passed. Okay? So let's take a look at number one now. Okay, so number one, we've got 7 o'clock and 7:30. Now, in these situations, when I've taught my students, they've told me like, oh, it doesn't say AM or PM, or it doesn't say that. And I told them it's okay, don't worry about it. Okay, they just want to see how much time has passed from the time on the left, which is 7 o'clock, and the time on the right, which is 7:30. Okay, so that's all they want. They don't want you to write whether it's an AM or PM or anything like that. You don't have to write a 24-hour time either. And again, if you want to see something like that, go to that video that I'll leave down in the description and you can check that out. Okay, so basically we want to just determine how much time passed. So for number one, we have 7 o'clock. And then on the right side, we have 7:30. So if we're taking our ability to tell time, and again, I'm going to assume you already know how to tell time already, and so that you know that we're just going to count every number as a 5-minute increment till we get to the half-hour mark, which is 7:30. So we start at 7 o'clock, which is here, and then we just count going down clockwise from 1 all the way down to 6, we know that every number represents a 5-minute increment. So we know that the elapsed time that has passed from 7 o'clock to 7:30 is 30 minutes. Let's take a look at number 2. And for number 2, we have 1:15 for the first time on the left side here. And then on the right side, we have it ending at 1:40. And as I said, don't worry about it being AM or PM. Okay, if they actually asked about AM or PM, it would be very clear. They would say, 1:15 AM and then 1:40 PM. Okay, and then that's when you would have to indicate very specifically how much time has passed here. So I'm just reiterating that so you don't panic and you don't see an AM, PM. Okay, it's okay. Just how much time has passed from 1:15 here to 1:40 here. So again, we know that we're going to be counting by 5s for each number. So we're just going to start here on the 3 and just count down here to the 8. And we know that the elapsed time for number 2 is 25 minutes. Looking at number 3 here, which is the digital clock, we've got 1:27 here on the left side, and we've got 4:52 here on the right side. So again, we want to figure out how much time has passed from 1:27 to 4:52. So again, using our ability to tell time, we know that every 60 minutes is an hour. So for me, I'm going to start off at 1:27, and I'm just going to move up an hour till I get as close as I can to 4:52 without going over it. So if we go 1:27, then just go an hour. That's 2:27, so that's 1 hour. And then 3:27 is 2 hours. And then 4:27 is 3 hours. So now we know already that we're around 3 hours. If I go 5:27, I've gone past, that's too far. So we're going to stop at 4:27, and we know that's 3 hours. So now we've taken care of how many hours have passed. So how many minutes has passed? Let's see. So we've got it starting at 27 minutes past 1 o'clock, basically. And then we've got it, this end time is ending at 4:52. And so we're going to try and figure out, well, how much time has passed? Now, for this situation, what I did, and this is just a suggestion, this isn't telling you to do this. If you've got a method of your own and it gets you the correct answer, go for it. Don't change it, okay? Because I don't want you to try and do what I'm doing if you find another method that's more comfortable, you're more comfortable doing. If you're more comfortable doing it differently, but it gets you the correct answer, for me, if I was your teacher or if I was your tutor, I would be okay with that, okay? So anyways, I didn't mean to go off on a little bit of a tangent there, but let's go back and just solve this, because you're probably thinking, what's he talking about? So this is what I did to get how many minutes passed. We know it's 3 hours. We're looking at 1:27 on the left side, 4:52 on the right side. So what I'm going to just do is, to make this a little bit easier, is for the 1:27, what I would do to figure out how much time has passed, how many minutes from 1:27 to 4:52, is I would look at 1:27. I would just add 3 minutes to that to make it an even 1:30. For 4:52, I would do the exact same thing. I would add just 3 minutes to that time as well to make it 4:55. It's just to figure out the elapsed time. So having converted 1:27 to 1:30 and 4:52 to 4:55, I know that the elapsed time is going to be 25 minutes. So the elapsed time from 1:27 to 4:52 is 3 hours and 25 minutes. Okay, number 4 says Saturday at 4:59 p.m. And and then it has it and the elapsed time ending at Sunday at 7:36 a.m. So again, they're giving you a very specific timetable here, where if you looked at the previous questions for the analog clocks for problems 1 and 2, and the digital time for number 3, it didn't indicate an AM or PM. Here it's very specific. It's telling you, that it's going to be, the start time is Saturday at 4:59 p.m. and it's ending on Sunday at 7:36 a.m. So, how much time has passed? All right, so 4:59. So what I'm going to do is kind of like what I did with number 3. I'm just going to tack on 1 minute to the start time, which would be Saturday at 5 p.m. And then I'm going to tack on another minute for Sunday. So it'll be, for me, and this is just to calculate it in my head. Now I'm doing this in my head. I'm doing this in my brain. Okay? If you need to write this down, go ahead. It's all right. Okay? Now this isn't saying to show your work, but if you need to kind of jot down the hours to do this, that's not a problem. The goal here is just to get the answer right. Okay? I'm not asking to follow this one way or that one way or my way. I just want you to get it. Okay? And I'm just showing you just one method of how I'm doing it. Okay? Maybe it's not maybe it's not what you prefer, and that's okay. What you can do is show me what you did and demonstrate it. Show me on your work, okay? And I would love to see that, as just to see how many other ways you can solve this. So going back here, sorry again for drifting a bit there. It's going back to number 4. So I've just added a minute to each one. So now I'm thinking it's Saturday, 5 p.m. That's the start time, ending on Sunday at 7:37 a.m. So we know if we start at 5 o'clock in the evening, 5 p.m., and we go to 5 a.m., that's 12 hours already. So that's already 12 hours. Then from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m., that's another 2 hours. Okay? That's 14 hours right there. So if I go another hour, I'm gone too far. If I go to 8 o'clock, that's 15. It's too big. So I'm going to stop at 7 a.m. That's 14 hours. Now, how many minutes is it? And this is why I added just that 1 minute to both times, because then it's just easy to figure it out. If it's Saturday at 5 p.m. and then it ends at 7:37, it's 37 minutes. Okay? Now remember, I already did the hours. So if you're like, but he started at 4, he ended at 7. Right, that's the 14 hours. So now we're just within the 60-minute clock here. All right, so if it's at, 12 o'clock, if it's at 5 o'clock, and then you go to the 37-minute mark, that's it. That's your answer. And I'm showing you here by counting it. Okay, so the elapsed time here is 14 hours and 37 minutes. Okay? Number 5, we've got December 7th, 1941. And then we've got August 15th as so December 7th, 1941 is the start time. The end date, actually, it's not a time. This one's a date. So the end date is August 15th, 1945. So number 5 is a date, actually, for the elapsed time. So the start date is December 7th, 1941, and the end date is August 15th, 1945. Okay, so we want to figure out what was the elapsed time here. All right, so again, that's why I showed you the calendar at the start of the video, because you're going to need it for this part here. More so when you get down to like the months and the days here. Okay, that's more for what this is about. All right, because I don't expect any of you to remember which months have 30 days or 31 days or anything like that. Okay, I don't expect that for you. If that was the case, and I was probably going to give you a test, and I would tell you, make sure you know which months have 30 days and 31 days. And most likely I would probably give that to you as a study guide. And actually I already have with the calendar at the start. Okay, so don't worry about remembering it. Okay, just go back and look at it. Okay, because that's what I did to get this. Is I went to that calendar and I just counted. Now looking at how much time has passed, we know it's going to be years already, just because we have 1941 for the start date on the left side, and the end date it says 1945. However, we know if we're counting that it's not going to be 4 years, because if it started in December, in order for it to be 4 years, it would have to end after December 7th, 1945. And as you can see clearly here, it does not. Okay, so if we know it was started in 1941, and then we just start counting up to 1945, 1942 is, if it was December 7th, 1942, that's 1 year. If it was December 7th, 1943, that's 2 years. If it was December 7th, 1944, that's 3 years. Now, if I go to the next year, I've gone too far, okay? And it'll be wrong. So we know that 3 years has passed on this elapsed time. Now the months, how many months has passed? Okay, and this is where you go back to your calendar to figure that out. Okay, so if you go back to the calendar and you just count how many months have passed from December 7th, 1941 to August 15th, 1945, you can see that 8 months has passed. Okay, so the elapsed time so far is 3 years, 8 months, and now the days, how many days has passed, is we're going to just end it at that. Okay, so if again we look at how many days have passed and we just count using the calendar again, you can see that 8 days has passed. Okay, so for number 5, the elapsed time starting on December 7th, 1941 and ending on August 15th, 1945 is 3 years, 8 months, and 8 days. Okay, and this is why I gave you that calendar. All right, and again, there are a lot of ways that you can solve this. You've probably been taught other methods here. Okay, and I'm not here to tell you to change your method. Okay, I'm not. I'm just giving you a suggestion here as a demonstration, really. Okay, if you want to use it, go for it. If not, and you have your own way, do it. And I'd like to see it, actually. I'd like to see what you've done. Okay, that's how I run my classes. That's how I run my tutorials. I'm more like, I want to make this as easy as possible for you. Okay, not difficult. All right, so having said that, let's go ahead and take a look at the bonus activity now. So here's the bonus activity. And as you can see, I'm basically going to stick to more of a digital clock type of format. You don't see any analog clock or anything like that. I do have some dates in here. I got one date actually. And then I got one that requires you to give me an extension of days here. Okay, and the directions are pretty straightforward. It's just complete the table below. I've got a start time here, and I've got an end time here, and I've got the elapsed time here. Okay, now as always, you know, when I do something, when I do a demonstration and then I do the bonus activity, they're usually similar, but they're not exactly alike. And this is pretty classic of me continuing on with that idea. Okay, I've provided you the start time, but as you can see, several of the problems don't have it. You're going to have to look at the end time and the elapsed time to determine what the start time is. As the same thing goes for the last problem at the bottom, at the end time. I didn't put it in, I left it out. But you have the start time here on the left, 9:40 p.m. And then the elapsed time here, you've got 4 hours and 44 minutes. Okay? So, and if you're like, well, he didn't show us that, he didn't show us that, I know. But I did demonstrate on the video earlier, start time, end time, and elapsed time. You can go back and use that as a guide to help you determine what the problems are. And then some of the problems have elapsed time, where they're just blank. which is what I basically did. Okay. Now the third problem here has January 17th, 1920 as the start time, and the end time is November 3rd, 1920. Okay, so again, you can look at that calendar that I gave you to help figure out how much time has passed. Now, the calendar is 2016. I know that. It doesn't matter because it is just to help you with the counting here. Okay, and then the other one is, oh yeah, down here at the third to the last one here, down here, this one says Tuesday, 12:10 p.m. as the start time, and then the end time is Wednesday at 1:05 a.m. Okay, so again, you can write down what was the elapsed time here. All right, so the only difference between this one and mine is, as you can see, these show AM and PM. Okay, so as I told you in the previous demonstration video just earlier, don't worry about it if it doesn't show it. It's showing it here, okay? So remember, for the start time, make sure you're writing down if it's AM or PM. All right, for that last problem down here, make sure you write down whether it's AM or PM, because they're very specific here by telling you that the start time is AM and the end time could be AM or PM, okay? So just to remind you, in this case, and it didn't say it, but it's telling you here, if you're reading it, to make sure you write down AM or PM, because if you don't, I would mark it wrong, totally wrong, because you didn't fill it in completely. Okay, and most people on a standardized test, if they took that, would probably get it wrong too. Just depends on the criteria, really. So I'm just telling you right now, for me, if you didn't write AM or PM, it would be wrong, probably. It would be wrong, okay? So just giving you a bit of a heads up, all right? And that's it. And as always, hey, thank you again for spending part of your day watching my video. And I hope you get something out of it. You've gotten something out of it. And I hope that you will come back and watch my future videos. And I look forward to seeing you again. Have a great day. And remember, be safe. Thank you once again for joining in today's lesson. Please message me through Facebook Messenger, or you can email me at jollyformore@gmail.com to learn more about my online tutorial service. Please leave a comment down below. If you know someone interested in hiring an online tutor, share this video. And if you would like to get a bell notification for all my newest videos, please subscribe to my channel. I look forward to seeing you again in my next video. And until then, please be safe out there. Have a great day.